Kia ora koutou. I will get us started. Welcome back to today's final session before our poro aki at the end of the day. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome to this conference presentation Jane, Terrell and Theresa Martinovich. So they are mindfulness educators here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. First of all, Theresa Martinovich is a counsellor with 30 years experience working in mental health, addictions and tertiary settings. She's a mindfulness teacher and presently facilitates the mindfulness program at Massey University, where I work, yay, for staff and students. Appreciating the learnings that it provides, herself and others. Amazing in this role. I've been to many of their sessions. Jane also is a mindfulness trainer, teaching, development educator, and workplace learning facilitator. She's particularly focused in her mahi on the needs of underprepared learner groups and meeting those needs through interactive dialogue approaches that are underpinned by mindfulness. So Jane and Theresa, believe it or not, are the first and only certified teachers of mindfulness in Aotearoa. So for those who aren't too familiar with mindfulness, it's an evidence-based program which was originally developed for university students at a university in North Carolina in the States. So to date, the program has had over 60,000 students worldwide. It's currently being offered by over 1,500 teachers and almost 300 academic institutions across 13 different countries. So in mindfulness classes, students get to learn practical techniques that help them to manage their stress and improve their focus. Jane and Theresa have been facilitating this program at Massey for 9 years and have managed to successfully adapt it into our institutional context. So the mindfulness program, it's really well known for its mental health benefits, including improved sleep, self-compassion, because we all need to practice that, and enjoyment of life, as well as relief from stress and anxiety. It's also been shown to improve academic achievement. And the program that Jane and Theresa teach has been shown to improve stress management, psychological well-being, metacognitive skills, all the good stuff, and just really enhancing the student learning experience. So in this 60-minute session that they're about to walk us through, they're going to share with us key elements of that program for those that want to know more about it for themselves or for your institutions. They also invite us to experience several proven mindfulness techniques as well. So in other words, this means that they're not just going to talk about it, they're going to do it. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the rako over to Jane and Theresa. Welcome.
Oh, kia ora tātou, and thank you, Cherie, for your wonderful introduction. I don't think I need to say anything more about myself to introduce us. Theresa, do you feel you need to say anything more?
Just kia ora tātou to all, and thank you for that, Cherie. You did beautifully.
Yes. All right, so let me share my screen and we'll dive in. So how's that working? Everybody can see that? All right, so this is a small photograph of Theresa and me. Oh, no, not quite. But it is how we often feel about our minds. We are aware of how full our minds can be. So we're going to be looking at the difference between mindful and mindful. So the program that we teach, we are actually not exactly the only certified mindfulness teachers in the whole of New Zealand, Cherie, but thank you for that. We're the only certified teachers of this program, this particular program that we have been teaching at Massey for the last 9 years. It's a certified program with quite a rigorous training program. Both Theresa and I went to the States for the in-person part of the program, and then went through the process, which took about a year before we could be certified. So we have been certified by the Mindfulness Institute for Emerging Adults. those of you who've done our program might say, but I've never heard of the Mindfulness Institute for Emerging Adults. And that's because right up until last year, it was called the Centre for Koru Mindfulness, because the founder of it, Holly Rogers, was a great fan of New Zealand. She lived here for a year, and it was during that year, 30 years ago, that she was beginning to feel the need to learn about mindfulness. And she loves New Zealand and used that image, but for various reasons, including the risks of cultural appropriation, the program has now been renamed. So a little bit about the whakapapa of Mea Mindfulness, a little whakapapa here, e whakapapa iti. So the program has very, very ancient roots going back to the Buddha in around 500 BC. And of course, Buddhism has Eastern influences and Western influences, which led to the Theravada and Vipassana traditions in the East, and Mahayana leading to Zen, and then Western influences such as the philosopher Schopenhauer. And these in turn led to more current versions of Buddhism, engaged Buddhism, as in Thich Nhat Hanh from Vietnam, and secular mindfulness, John Kabat-Zinn, who really brought this form of mindfulness very strongly to the West for the first time. And both of these leaders have influenced current mindfulness programs in the West that we're aware of. Some of you may be aware of mindfulness-based stress reduction, DBT therapy, workplace mindfulness, and digital mindfulness. And these in turn led to the development of Koru and finally of Mea. So it hasn't come out of nowhere. So today we're just going to quickly take you through the what, the why, and the how of mindfulness. Over to you, Theresa.
Thank you. So in relation to the what exactly is mindfulness? And we have two different captions to explain it. Firstly, the Maya caption, it is the capacity to pay attention to your present moment experience with an attitude of kindness and compassionate curiosity. And then we have a second caption, which is from our very own New Zealand Mental Health Foundation. Mindfulness means paying attention to what is presently occurring with kindness and curiosity. Now, the commonalities of these two descriptors are, I'll just go back, thanks, Jane. The commonalities of these are paying attention to the present moment with kindness and curiosity. It's about noticing and building awareness in the here and now. And that's really important because we are so often led in this fast-paced life with distraction. The distractions of the pinging and ringing of our phones, checking of our emails, and in this way, we call this having either a monkey mind or a grasshopper mind, where our thoughts and feelings are bouncing from one thing to another. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. Mindfulness is about noticing when that happens and coming back, bringing your mind to where you want it to be. Okay. The next slide, thanks, Jane. So there's some things that mindfulness isn't, because people sometimes get it confused with a few things. Mindfulness is not switching off or tuning out. It's actually tuning in. Okay, so it's the opposite to that. It's not about ignoring emotions. It's about becoming more aware of emotions, noticing them, observing them, noting them, being curious to what emotions or thoughts that you're having. Mindfulness is not positive thinking. Okay? Positive thinking tends to ignore what we call negative thinking. Instead, mindfulness looks at all thoughts, whether they're positive or negative. We accept what's happening right now. And mindfulness is not relaxation. Okay, relaxation takes no action. I can sit in front of TV like I do most nights and just relax completely. I'm not doing anything. I'm just absorbing some rubbish that I'm being fed via a screen. Okay? Mindfulness, alternatively, is about focusing and noticing what's going on. So if we are, for example, to focus on our breath, first of all, we have to take an action in finding where our breath is. We need to notice when our mind goes off our breath, and then we have to be able to guide our mind back to our breath. So mindfulness is an action. However, when we do mindfulness, we become more relaxed, and that's where people get the confusion. Okay? We become more relaxed, and relaxation is a fruit of applying mindfulness and meditation into your life. And that's because you have a feeling of calmness as your body slows down, which it tends to do when you practice mindfulness. Next one, thank you, Jane. Other things that it is not. Mindfulness is not pretending that bad things aren't going to happen. Okay? It is actually building an awareness of what is happening and noticing when we get lost in the magnification or the story that we attach to that trigger. It's also not a substitute for fighting for fair pay and workload, nor is it feeling grateful for unfair working conditions. It is about observing what's going on clearly and then choosing the right response for yourself in that moment. So we love this picture because this is quite appropriate. Now we can go for a walk. The dog's mind is simply on what it's seeing, what it's observing, what is there. Our mind is full of everything but what we can see. So it's a very valid picture. So mindfulness training supports calmer, clearer thinking. It supports deciding how to move forward in the most helpful way. And that's because we have more choices rather than coming from that place of being reactive. And that's part of that monkey mind. It also helps us have better self-management, self-discovery, and greater wisdom. And also, of course, brings a sense of calmness. Okay, over to you, Jane.
Okay, so when we teach mindfulness, we often use this particular image, this rushing river of thought. And Theresa's talked to us about how being mindful means paying attention to our present moment experience, whatever our thoughts are, our feelings, our body sensations, the environment, and paying attention with acceptance and without judgment. It sounds really simple. Pay attention to now. What's difficult about that? Well, it is simple, but it's not easy. And this is because our thoughts and feelings are like a rushing river. It constantly takes our attention away from the present moment. Our thoughts and feelings never stop. In fact, they're designed not to stop. So we use meditation exercises, not trying to stop the thoughts, but to change our relationship to them. So if you're someone who might have tried meditation before and said, well, I'm hopeless at it. I'm just hopeless. My mind is too busy. My mind is just full all the time. I can't do it. That's because you are aware that your mind is full and it's like a rushing river. And that is the very first step to becoming mindful. If you know that your mind is really busy, then you're a little bit more awake than the person who doesn't know and is just in that rushing river. So well done you. So we use meditation exercises not to stop the thoughts of our minds, but to change our relationship to them. Meditation exercises are like a ladder that we can use to climb out of the rushing river, to sit on the bank and observe our thoughts rather than being swept away by them, swept into the future, thinking what on earth's going to happen next, or into the past, I wish I hadn't done this, or I remember this lovely thing, but just being in the present. And we move from our thinking mind into our observing mind. And this anchors us to our present moment experience. Simple concept, not easy to do. However, just in the same way that we can lift weights regularly to develop our physical muscles, we can do meditation exercises to develop our mindfulness muscle, or our ability to come back to the present moment. And just like when you go to the gym and there's lots of different machines you can use, lots of different exercises in order to develop muscles, and so in the same way, there are lots of different meditation exercises. And just in the same way that you end up preferring certain exercise machines at the gym over others, as time goes on, you begin to find that certain meditation exercises work better for you or work well for you often, and others don't. And then over time, you find as you try more new ones, that you develop your practice and you become more aware of ways that other forms of meditation can help you. So it's just a matter of practice. And as with any new skill, mindfulness takes practice and is most effective when it becomes a daily habit. And just in the same way you wouldn't develop any muscles if you just sat and thought about the gym, discussed the gym with lots of friends, talked about how you love the gym and you think it's really great. If you don't go there, nothing happens. So Theresa's going to take us there in a moment. Mindfulness can only be learned experientially. So our curriculum is a very active curriculum with lots of practice and lots of supervision. So let's try it.
Okay. So there are 4 possible positions that you can be in to meditate. You can meditate standing up, you can kneel, be in the lotus position. If you want to, and feel free to do it, lie down while we're doing this, or for most of us, we will be sitting in a chair. And if you are sitting, I really encourage you to take off your shoes. It's a lovely warm day. Well, it is in Auckland anyway. Put your feet flat on the floor. Okay, because that grounds you, that connects you to the earth, and that in itself is being in the present moment. Check up, going up your body, your knees are level or below the height of your hips. We don't want your knees up higher than your hips because that will put some strain on your back. Okay, coming up to your back, we want your back straight but not rigid. We don't want you slouched in the chair. Okay? Your shoulders are dropped a little bit. Your head, your chin is dropped down slightly. And if you were to look straight ahead, your eyes would be looking straight across the room. Your hands are resting comfortably in your lap with nothing in them, not a phone or a pen or paper or anything. Okay, so that is your meditation position. And I'm going to take you through some diaphragmatic breathing. Okay? Diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing is fundamental to meditation. And that is because your breath is always with you. You don't have to rely on somebody giving you or delivering you on an app words. You can simply focus on your breath, and that will bring you back into the present moment. And simply by focusing on your breath, you can choose your mood. Okay? Or not choose your mood, sorry, you can change your mood. And we call it diaphragmatic breathing, not because you're all belly breathing, not because you're breathing into your belly or your diaphragm. You're breathing right down, hopefully into the, if you can, the bottom of your lungs. You're filling your lungs deeply, and in turn, that presses down on your diaphragm muscle, which is underneath your lungs, and that makes your belly stick out. So that's why it's called belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. So we're going to give that a go because it really has many benefits, and some include that it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. That in turn slows down your heart rate and drops your blood pressure, and that's what makes you feel calmer and relaxed, which is really helpful for stress management and even for anxiety. Okay, so I'm going to get you to sitting up at the moment, and I want you to place one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. I'm going to ask Jane to ring the bell. And I want you to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. So listening for that reverberation of the bell, focusing your awareness on that. And when you can no longer hear the bell, focus on your breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. We're not trying to change our breath in any way, just focusing your attention on where you most easily feel your breath. It may be your belly, your chest, or at the tip of your nose. As you breathe in, saying in your head, in, and as you breathe out, saying to yourself, out. In on the in-breath, and out on the out-breath. In on the in-breath, and out on the out-breath. Now we all have different lengths of in-breaths and out-breaths. So just breathing at a rate that feels right for you. Saying to yourself, in on the in-breath, and out on the out-breath. And as you breathe in, becoming aware of which hand is rising. Is it your belly hand or your chest hand? And if you feel dizzy at all, I want you to just stop and just have a look around the room and breathe normally. But otherwise, if it is your chest hand that's moving, see if you're able to breathe more deeply right down into the base of your lungs, filling them up as you breathe in, noticing that belly hand coming out. And then as you breathe out, the hand drops again. And saying to yourself, in on the in-breath, and out on the out-breath. In on the in-breath, and out on the out-breath. And just continuing on at your own pace. And when your mind has wandered off onto something else, thinking, what am I having for dinner? Or when is she going to ring the bell? When will this be over? Just return it back to in on the in-breath and out on the out-breath. In through your nose and out through your nose. Notice whether you feel that rise and fall of your belly with each breath. And again, if you feel dizzy or if this is too hard for you, just open your eyes and breathe normally. Now we're going to change this slightly. And now, as we breathe in, we're going to count in our heads up to 4. And as we breathe out, we're going to count up to 5. And our speed will be different from each other's. So just drown out my voice if you need to. But breathing in to 4. And breathing out to 5. Breathing into 4. And breathing out to 5. Into 4. And out to 5. Into 4. And out to 5. 3 more big breaths in your own time. Into 4. And out to 5. Into 4. And out to 5. And we're coming to the end now of our mindfulness of breath. If you could ring the bell when you're ready, Jane, please. Staying with that reverberation until you can no longer hear it. And then coming back into the room. And if you need to, a nice big stretch. I'm seeing some yawns happening and some relaxing. So move your body around a bit so that we stay awake. So I'm wondering if anybody has any reflections on how that was for you. If we can just hear from a few of you, that would be lovely. Maybe you might want to put it in the chat or say it out loud, because I can only see, I think, about 12 of you at once. So feel free to put something in the chat about how you're feeling, a reflection either in thought or feeling after engaging in that mindfulness of breath exercise, because this is about having a mind-body connection.
That's the quietest my mind has been for 2 days. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you for that. Anybody got any other other thoughts or feelings about how that was?
I'm
Did you
seeing
have
in
a
the chat.
different experience?
I'm seeing in the chat energized, relaxed, peaceful or still, relaxed and still, refreshed. I had to stop myself nodding off a couple of times, but as we stopped, I felt peaceful. A wonderful experience and a reminder to share it with students, with our students.
Thinking about something else.
Thinking of 10,000 things, ADHD brain doesn't sit still. Maybe if I was standing on one leg and juggling, I could focus a bit easier. It's true. There are many ways to meditate, and some people do. There are active ways of meditating as well. So walking meditation is great for ADHD people. Superpowers. Greater perspective on things.
And remember, even that when you are thinking of 10,000 things, you're moving into observing, noticing that, you're being aware of that, and that is actually a moment of mindfulness. Yeah. Okay, thank you for that feedback. Over to you, Jane. Oh, no, it's not actually. I have one more slide, sorry. Okay, so the next slide speaks to how we deliver the structure, the mindfulness course. And we have 4 classes of 90 minutes. They're small, diverse groups, different ages, different cultures, different ethnic backgrounds, different levels of mastery, beginning meditators and quite experienced meditators. And we teach a range of skills and meditations, as you can see. And the breathing in class 1, that's partially what you've just had now. And very, very soon, Jane will be taking you through the Gata. Okay? And we talked about the walking meditation can be really useful for people with super busy minds or who need more of an active meditation rather than sitting still. Yeah. At the moment, I have a mixture of staff and students at Massey. We're mixing them all up in a really diverse way. I love that. It tends to give a level playing field for everybody, which personally I really enjoy that. We also teach an advanced class, which again is 4 classes of 90 minutes. And for the last 3 years, annually, we facilitate a half-day silent retreat, which we really enjoy, and we try and fit that in to celebrate and promote Mental Health Awareness Week. Yeah. Part of the structure of the course is that we expect students or participants to do homework every day, which consists of at least 10 minutes meditation. And that's because the research has shown if you meditate for 10 minutes every day, after a month, you will notice some benefits and some changes for yourself. And we ask the students or participants to fill in a practice log, which they can send in to us, and we provide support back to them by giving them some feedback and some comments. And everybody in our class gets an A+, which they all love, no matter how much or how little they have done over the week. Yeah. Okay, over to you, John.
Thank you, Theresa. So we've looked a bit at what mindfulness is and what it isn't. We skipped a bit into how to actually do it and how we teach it. And now we're skipping back to why. Why would you even do mindfulness? And I think although it takes a month to have really documentable impacts of practicing every day, you yourselves have proved just now that even taking, I think Theresa did about 6 or 7 minutes of diaphragm breathing with us now, and already there was a sense of peace, of calmness. Cherie said it was the quietest her mind had been in 2 days. So the techniques that the meditation exercises that we teach in this course are chosen because they are ones that are documented to have quite a quick impact on people's well-being. Just letting you know that they're not randomly chosen. So there's a very strong research base behind mindfulness, and I know that many of you here will be aware of that and becoming more aware. And there's multiple studies of mindfulness meditation and showing the very interestingly measurable physiological changes in the brain using MRI scans and so on, which bits light up and when. And these create welcome changes in health and mood and behaviour, so our physical and emotional and cognitive health. So just a few of these studies, and I expect you'll get the slideshow after this. So if you want, I'll send it to Cherie so that she can share it with you if you want, so you can look up these references. But just a little snippet of the research. 2022 study showed mindfulness and resilience links for millennials, their psychological well-being and resilience enhanced by the mindfulness training. Studies on ADHD, mindfulness improving the core symptoms of that, and that was done through a huge study, a meta-analysis from 2019. And then we're aware of the data that backs the course that we teach, the courses that we teach. And the first time that it was researched was in 2014. The findings were MIA was very effective, measurable mindfulness intervention, that course. And then studied again. There's been studies in between this, but in 2020, at Denison University in the States, the MIA students fared significantly better with the onset of the pandemic. And in 2022, Georgia Tech, teaching MIA online, because really it wasn't until 2020 and after that the course was taught regularly online. Even though taught online and not face-to-face, it helps students with stress, anxiety and mood. And this Georgia Tech study was a randomized controlled trial, and even under the dire circumstances of a pandemic, there was less anxiety, less worry and improved mood. That's just a snippet of the research studies, and any search will help you to find lots, but we wanted to focus on the ones to do with MIA. And if you go to the MIA website, you can see more of those studies and more links to them in detail. So as Cherie read from our abstract at the beginning, at the moment, so far there's been around 60,000 students taught by, and that's including staff, taught by over 1,500 teachers in close to 300 academic institutions in 13 countries. And here we are, we made it onto the informational slide that MIA people use when they're talking about this to new institutions. So here's some of the institutions, and you may have heard of some of these ones, Harvard and Yale and places like that, quite well known. Johns Hopkins, all these places are where it's being taught. Theresa, I think I jumped into your bit, didn't I?
You did. That's quite all right.
Sorry. Did you want to say anything more about those slides?
No, that's totally fine. So these are here are some feedback that we've been given about it. Just have a read through this for yourself. Best professional development. Some people have got off painkillers, improved sleep, more aware of thoughts and feelings. better identification of what actually makes them stressed, becoming calmer, less frazzled, coaching self better through challenging phases, and again, sleep. So some really very impressive and heartfelt benefits. It may sound like a bit of a magic pill, but I know Jane and I often share about the difference that it's made in our own lives personally, that we both feel more able to just have more, that we have more resilience. Yeah, that we feel better able to cope really in some ways. Okay, back to you, Jane.
Thank you, Theresa. Now, we have one more technique to share with you, a meditation exercise. But I thought this might be a moment to just give you a second to say whether are there any questions or reflections that you'd like to make at this point before we go on to the Gata meditation exercise. Got a couple of minutes here.
I kind of have a question. I'm curious about your experience as trainers. You've been doing it for so long. Is it something that you still actively practice, as in like habitual, or is it something that has just become part of your everyday, or is it a bit of both?
What a great question. We forgot to say that, but didn't we, Theresa? Do you want to start by sharing?
Well, for me, it's a bit of both, really. I try to practice as regularly as I can, and I tend to practice and then it drops off, and then I practice again. But it's also a part of my everyday life as well, finding moments of mindfulness in everyday activities. Something as simple as watching a jug boil or sitting down on a chair outside and only sipping my cup of tea, not picking up my phone or doing anything else. So having those really mindful moments. So both parts really. And you, Jane?
Yes, it is both for me as well. I do have a regular practice. I probably would practice for about 30 minutes most days. That's just what suits me. I experiment with different lengths of time, so it's around 30 minutes is my norm, and I experiment with different times of day. And I have settled, for many years, I settled on evening, and that was the best for me. I'm a bit of a night owl, so it was a very good way for me to calm at the end of the day. But since I've been working less and having more freedom with my time, I've discovered that I can be a morning meditator. And that's a different experience again. So it's an ongoing experiment, but the commitment to it, I know that this is the one tool that will carry me through in all of those very stressful life situations that just come out at us out of the blue. I know that I'm different and I react differently from how I used to, and it's a pretty good feeling. I think Theresa and I often talk about how we almost feel like we're sort of different people from who we used to be. In a good way, we're more ourselves. And I think the best description of mindfulness that I've read that tickles my fancy the most is an 11-year-old boy who was being taught the techniques just at school, as many children are these days. And he said that he was asked, "What's mindfulness for you?" And he said, "Oh, it's not punching somebody on the nose." I think it's that awareness that you have choices about how you react to life's many unexpected events. Thank you everybody for this. So we'll go in now to our second exercise.
Just to make you aware, there was a really wonderful question by Catherine that just popped
Oh,
up in
sorry.
chat.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all good.
Now let's hear it.
Oh, Catherine says, I'm wondering if we as LAs can guide our learners. They come to us distraught at times. Or are there safety considerations, traps for young players maybe? Would it be inappropriate to invite our learners to breathe with us?
That's a great question, and I think Theresa will have a very professional approach. So I'll go in with my what I know from my experience rather than a counselling experience. And I think if that inviting people to breathe with us and to recognize that they're breathing up here and that's contributing to their stress is a very helpful technique. I use it with my mother who has Alzheimer's when she gets panicky, and I say, Mum, let's stop, let's breathe from down here. But Theresa, you have a lot of experience with students in this field.
I think that that's a fantastic question to ask, because there are some people who don't like focusing on their breath, particularly people who are asthmatics, or some people it makes them feel more anxious, and therefore it's better to use something else to focus on rather than their breath. So it's about introducing it with safety, which is how would you feel about us focusing on your breath for a while? And then doing what I did in the mindfulness of breath exercise, which is saying, if at any time you feel that you're not okay, or you don't want to do this, just open your eyes and come back into the room, and maybe look around the room and name 4 or 5 blue things that are in the room, to ground them back into the here and now. Because it can, with some people who have traumatic histories, it can, very rarely, but it does happen, trigger them back into their past.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's
So
a whole
done
field.
with caution.
Sorry. There's a whole field of research into trauma-sensitive mindfulness. So yes, there are ways of introducing mindfulness that we are building into our practice, into our teaching now, where it is aware of the sorts of things Theresa's just been talking about. So there are traps for young players.
Great question.
So the one more technique. This technique is called the gata, and the gata is just a Pali word for meaning a poem. So it's using words to help anchor our attention into the present moment. Sometimes the breath is not a strong enough anchor for people to focus on. There are problems with it, or they just find it difficult to focus only on the breath. So you can think of a gata as a way of sort of putting another handhold on the bank of the river of rushing thought. It makes it a bit easier to stay seated on the bank and to climb out when you fall in. So this one does still focus on the breath, but using words to help that. So I'll give it a go. And if you'd just like to take up a meditation position again, which is important to have perhaps both feet flat on the floor and our backs straight but not rigid. Listening for the sound of the bell. So again, invite your body into a meditation position. Consider relaxing into your chair, feet on the floor, hands resting in your lap, back tall, eyes closed or gazing unfocused towards the floor. Just allow your awareness to settle on your breath for a few moments. And as you continue to watch your breath, begin to link the lines of the gata or the poem to your breathing as I speak them. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I calm my body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out, I know this is a precious moment. And again, I know I am breathing in. I know I am breathing out. I calm my body and my mind. I smile. I dwell in the present moment. I know this is a precious moment. And to carry on repeating the phrases silently to yourself, going at whatever pace is pleasing for you. If you get lost or forget the phrases, no big deal. Just start back at the beginning. Pay attention to your body. Notice the signals of your nervous system. If you start to feel overwhelmed, remember you have the power to shift your attention. And just open your eyes or stretch and bring your body back into a sense of comfort. I know I am breathing in. I know I am breathing out. I calm my body and my mind. I smile. Notice what happens in your body and to your feelings when you smile. I dwell in the present moment. I know this is a precious moment. I know I am breathing in. I know I am breathing out. I calm my body and my mind. I smile. I dwell in the present moment. I know this is a precious moment. For a couple of minutes, we can just drop down to just one word. Again, keeping it linked with our breath. In, out. Calming, smiling. Present moment. Precious moment. In, out. Calming, smiling. Present moment. Precious moment. Carry on repeating the words silently to yourself, whatever pace is pleasing for you. When your mind wanders, you come back to your breath and to the words. In, out, calming, smiling, present moment, precious moment. Listening for the sound of the bell to bring this Gata meditation to a close. Again, have a good big stretch. And a moment to reflect. How was that for you? Different from the first one? What did you notice?
I managed to like maintain focus the whole time. Normally I struggle and my mind drifts, but I must have really needed it because yeah, it was really lovely.
Okay, so you found it, do you think the words helped maintain the focus?
100%.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I quite like the phrasing.
Mm. So they're a heavier anchor for our awareness. Josta says more relaxing, but that might be practice. So love the smiling, but glad you mentioned the smiling. So that's a deliberate part of this poem because so much of our thinking has a negative bias, and the actual act of smiling relaxes the whole face. So it's a kind of instant fix. And Mark found the breathing easier, but it's probably because he's more used to it. The words something to focus, and made me much sleepier. Hands and arms become very heavy. That's good noticing. Yeah. Well, some wonderful noticing going on there. Thank you. So we're reflected on how it was, and we can see that you are really becoming mindful even in these short moments. So we'll leave you with these references. These are two of the books written about the course that Theresa and I teach. The Mindfulness for the Next Generation tells you how to teach this course step by step. You can do it. And the Mindful 20-something is a text that goes with it. And although this program was developed for people in the emerging adult stage of life, 18 to 29, we have found, and worldwide people are finding that even people who are 60 something can find a lot of benefit in that. It's just that the examples used in this particular book tend to be about university student life, but we find it very useful any stage. So basically, if you want to learn more or you want to bring mindfulness training to your place, just reach out to us. So Theresa is at Massey and I'm independent now, but you can reach out to either of us about mindfulness training. And if you want to know more about this particular course, look at miea.com, miea.com. It has all these exercises that are in the course are there and available free for anybody to do at any time. You can go home tonight and find the exercises and try them yourself. So I think that brings us to our end. Thank you so much for inviting us, Cherie, and we delight in sharing this work because it has made such a difference both to us ourselves and to the people that we've worked with over many years.
And to our friends and family.
I think they're quite grateful. Mum, are you doing your mindfulness?
Oh my gosh. Ao namahi nui, korua. This is, I mean, honestly, I feel really, really lucky to be at Massey because I have the option of jumping into your sessions every Monday afternoon, and I just wish everybody could do that. So there is just such value in what you teach and how you facilitate. You are both just amazingly skilled and practiced at what you do, and we really appreciate you. And thank you for coming along and attending our conference and sharing your amazing skills with everybody around mindfulness and teaching us more about that practice as a whole, because it is a beautiful practice. Kia ora, ngā mihi nui. So that is excellent timing. It has led us into our poroaki farewell. So I'll just get into some closing comments and offer a karakia before we wrap up for the day. But before I jump into closing comments, I did want to just very briefly open the floor. If anybody would like to share any thoughts, comments, reflections on the mindfulness session with Jane and Theresa.
Thank you for those lovely comments in the chat. We really appreciate that and for having the opportunity to come to speak to you all today. Thanks for making that happen, Cherie.
You're welcome. Okay, still lots of lovely thank yous coming through chat. Yes. All right. Okay, so we've come to the end of the conference, and I would like to take a moment to reflect on what we have achieved together and express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has contributed to its success. First and foremost, I would like to thank, I know they're not here, but it's really important to thank our keynote speakers. Some of our presenters are still with us, so yay, and panelists, for sharing their insights, expertise, and innovative ideas. Those contributions have sparked important conversations, broadened our perspectives, and inspired us to think beyond just the conventional. I also want to extend my gratitude to Tania, who couldn't be with us today, our amazing ATLAANZ president, and the entire ATLAANZ executive committee, whose hard work and diligence really keeps us running so smoothly. There's a lot of ducks on top of the pond, crazy duck feet underneath the water that goes on, and throughout different times of the year, not just during conference. So thanks also to everyone involved in the conference organising team. The weekly huies, sometimes more than once a week, especially Bridget Nucky for her wonderful emceeing of day one. You're awesome, Bridget. And those who were co-opted last minute during the conference. And here I'm talking about people like Herewini Easton for his opening Enoi on both days. We can't forget the eToots team from Waikato University who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes and have been instrumental in helping us to host this online conference. So to everyone, your dedication and hard work have been the backbone of this conference, and you have our heartfelt appreciation. Finally, I wanted to thank our conference attendees, everyone, for their enthusiasm, curiosity, and engagement. The level of active participation, thoughtful questions, and willingness to connect have really made this event dynamic, meaningful, and inclusive. It is through our collective efforts that we have built a space for learning, growth, and connection. So as we leave here today, I hope we carry forward the energy and inspirations we've gained, applying it to our mahi and our community communities. Let's continue to stay connected, keep having these conversations, and work together to make a lasting impact. Ngā mihi nui, and I wish you continued success in your future endeavours. All right,
Thank you
I'll
to
take
you,
over.
Cherie, as well,
Oh,
for stepping in and closing the conference and opening today, and for singing this
oh,
morning.
yeah, thank you. I was more nervous about singing than anything else, so no, but thank you for that. That's much appreciated, and it has been my pleasure. I'd happily do it again. Okay, kia karakia tātou. Te whakaiatanga e, te whakaiatanga e. Tēnei te kaupapa ka ea. Tēnei te wānanga ka ea. Te mauri o te kaupapa ka whakamoia. Te mauri o te wānanga ka whakamoia. Koia ki runga, koia ki raro. Haumi e, hui e, tae ki e. Ngā mihi, everyone.